So what should couples know about dealing with vendors if they're deciding to postpone or cancel their weddings? Right? What expectations should they prepare for?
Yes. You should go into this thinking or possible or knowing, I should say, that it's a possibility that your vendors aren't available.
I want to welcome everybody to the Wedding Workshop Podcast. I'm your host, Gina, wedding coach, and we've got a amazing guest on the show today, Necoya Tyson. I call her Koya. People that are close to her call her Koya, but if you don't know her like that, it's Necoya to you guys. On the show, our main focus is helping couples plan a fun, entertaining, most importantly, stress-free wedding. I want to kind of give you guys Koya's long list of accolades, and she's highly qualified to talk about weddings. So she's the owner and CEO of All About You Event Management. She's been planning weddings and events for over 16 years. Her background is in corporate event planning, logistics. She does conferences, meetings, trade shows. So what's amazing about that is, Koya, you're not just like your traditional wedding planner. Like, you actually do this for a living, right? Like, this is your thing.
23 out of 24 hours of the day.
So you've managed events between 500 to 25,000 people. You specialize in weddings, corporate events, social events. In 2018, you started Morning for Mimosa. Did I say that right? Mornings for Mimosa?
Mornings are for mimosas. Yes, sir.
And, that's a wedding workshop helping couples plan their weddings. You're helping couples on where to start, how to start, budgeting, et cetera, et cetera. You've been featured in the Planner Lounge, Sheen Magazine. Am I saying that right?
Yes, sir.
Glamboyous Magazine. Am I saying that right?
Glambitious Magazine.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
And
I like
Courageous Women.
that name too. I might need to work something out with that name.
You going to deck that up? All right. So, Koya, the reason why I wanted you on the show is we're living in some crazy times right now. I consider you, one of the top planners in the DC market. You've got tons and tons of experience. So I kind of wanted to pick your brain and kind of find out how do couples maneuver in this time of uncertainty. So the main theme of the show is really, how to plan your wedding, during Covid-19, during this pandemic. So my first question to you is, what advice would you have for couples on how to choose a wedding date, right? So let's say your wedding was, let's say you were supposed to get married in, let's say May, right? Or even June, right? How would you go about choosing a new date?
Okay, that is a good question. Hi, everybody. As Jean said, my name is Necoya Tyson, owner of All About You Event Management. And this is definitely an unprecedented time for all of us. It's a time where not only are you as wedding couples having to maneuver and deal through this situation, but you also have your vendors, your venues, your friends, your family. Everyone is dealing with the entire situation at the same time. So it definitely is a different type of situation. For those of you who are getting married in, I'd say May, June, I really have been advising people to start looking into later summer, early fall for your events. Of course, the best thing to do would be to reach out to your venue first, your venue. You want to make sure that the location that you're getting married actually has the availability, that they're actually going to be open during this time, because a lot of venues are closing right now, or they're taking some time off, or their staff is not available because they have had to let them go, or they've had to furlough their staff. So the first thing I would suggest for you all to do is to reach out to your venues to see what their availability is, and start thinking about 2021. I know that some of you may have been engaged for a long time and you're ready to get married and excited about getting married, and this was the date that you were really hoping for, but we have to realize that this is actually our new normal now. And if that is a special date for you, definitely look into 2021. A lot of the venues that I've been working with have not been charging any cancellation fees. They've been, if you rebook within the same year, or if you rebook within 1 year of the original date that you had scheduled. So that is where I would suggest that you all start reaching out to your venues to see what their availability is and if they're actually even still open. And if you know, and the caveat to that is, if they're not open, if when you were first starting this planning process, was there a second venue that you had in mind, or even a third venue that you all were looking at? What were your top 3 venues? See what may be available. Because it's not only you that's canceling right now or postponing right now. You have thousands or hundreds of other people who are doing the exact same thing. So I want you all to realize that you are in the same boat as everyone else. And I keep suggesting to everyone, and I keep seeing this hashtag of postpone, don't cancel. And because, you know, just like you have this expectation of your wedding to happen, so do these venues and so do these vendors, and that's where they're also making their money. They're, you know, that it comes down to that. It really is a business. And so you want to make sure that you have some place to actually hold or host your wedding so that people can attend. And then, you know, also to go with that, you want to see if they have any guidelines or anything that they've put in place to combat this. They have hand sanitizer stations when you first get to the venue. Will they have?
That's why I got you on the show, Corey.
Will they have hand washing stations? Will they be offering, and you know, this is a suggestion that actually literally just came to me as I'm talking to you all. You know, as everyone's thinking of, I want to give out a favor at my wedding, that could be your favor. You could be giving out hand sanitizer, miniature hand sanitizers to your guests as they come in and make sure that they're staying healthy. And you want to find out if there are any limits to the number of people that can actually be inside that venue during this time. You know, a venue may say, oh, we can hold 500 people, but with social distancing and the 6 feet and all of that stuff, you may have to end up cutting your guest list or anything like that to see that you can actually fit everyone during this time.
So, you know, when we first started talking, you had mentioned, you said, gee, you know, really, you know, I don't see the market opening up for weddings until August. Mm-hmm. I kind of wanted to kind of pick your brain and find out why August? Because you know, you got May. May is done. Okay.
May is over. I know we're only in April, but May is done.
So I'm really concerned about the couples that are planning their weddings for June and July, right? So why are you saying August?
The reason I'm saying August is because, one, it's later in the summer, or the end of summer technically, and if this is a disease or an illness or something that is seasonal, similar to something like the flu or where we have cold season, it's something that will taper off around that time. If it's some sort of disease that doesn't really survive well in the heat, you know, August is probably a better time. I know in working with a lot of my events, as Jean mentioned before, I not only do weddings, but I do a lot of corporate events, a lot of trade shows and conferences. And a lot of our groups are at the point where they're not even looking at anything that's occurring in August. If, say, we have an event in August and we want to move it to later into the fall, they're focusing on these cancellations that are occurring from March, April, May, and June, because they want to be able to shift those and accommodate everyone. So I think that August is more of it's the better timeline for everyone. Again, based on the time of year that it is and the weather, and it also has a lot to do with where you're located. So again, back to reaching out to your venues beforehand so that you can see what their availability is. But again, we all know summer is usually the most popular the most popular season for weddings, while October is the most popular month. now. October is now the new June. June used to be the month where you should get married, but now it's October. So you also want to make sure that, again, that your venues are available for those dates, because not only you are trying to move, everyone's trying to move. And, to be safe, to be really safe, I'm really suggesting that folks, if they have large groups of people, when I say large, I mean 150 or more people, you probably should start looking at 2021 and see what your options are there. But if you are dead set on having your event in 2020, looking at August, because it's later into the summer months.
So since you do logistics, I was just curious as to, let's just use this hypothetical. This wasn't in my notes, but since you went there, right? So someone's getting married in June, right? First week of June. They hear this podcast. They're like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna listen to Necoya, and I'm going to move my wedding to late August, right? The venue's available. They get the date moved from June to August, right? So you have June, July. You've got what, 2 months? How would you logistically go about letting the people in the wedding party, your friends, family members, the guests know? Like, how would you go about doing that?
Okay, so for me, again, the first thing that I would do is I would want to make sure that my venue is available and that my vendors are also available. My photographer, videographer, caterer, anyone that is touching your wedding, hair and makeup artist, you want to make sure that the availability is there. I would then, the second thing to that would be to reach out to my guests, but have an understanding that some of your guests may not be available. We are in a time where your guests or your attendees may feel like they may be germaphobes. They may be very leery, scared, leery about traveling. I am someone who travels, no lie, guys, probably at least, and when I say travel, I mean on a plane, at least once a month. And right as this was starting, I got a little apprehensive and I got a little nervous. I traveled for my birthday, which was March 9th, and I traveled a couple of days before that to Florida, and that's when everything was really starting up, and I got a little anxious and I got a little scared. So you definitely want to reach out to your guests and your attendees to one, make them feel a little comfortable and make them feel like they are important, because they are very important if you want them there, but also let them know that this is the new date that you've chosen, and you understand that if they aren't available or if they can't come, that you will be moving forward if these dates are available. It really is a situation of making sure, and I always say, the name of my company is All About You Event Management. It really is all about you and your fiance. That it's your day, it's your wedding, and what works for the two of you. But you have to definitely make sure that you're understanding and you realize the severity of the situation with your guests who may not be able to attend because of what's going on. But I would definitely reach out to them as the second piece to working on your logistics, because what if your maid of honor says that she can't come, or your best man says that they can't come? It could be also a scheduling conflict as well. So having your backup plans in place in case that does happen.
And it's funny you mentioned that, because guess what? People aren't working, so they may not even have the funds. As we're talking, all of these other things are
I know,
right? But your guests may not. They may not have the finances to attend your wedding, and I've been fortunate to attend, maybe like 4 or 5 weddings, and as a guest, it's expensive to go to a wedding, right? You're not just showing up empty-handed. You shouldn't be.
You're right. You shouldn't be. But
your guests are investing. They're investing time. They're investing effort and energy, capital, right? You got to get a haircut. You got to get a new outfit. I went to a wedding with my wife. She got like 3 outfits for the wedding. I'm like, man, I don't understand. Like, are you going to switch halfway through the wedding? She was like, no, you just, And you got to get a gift. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
I'm going to a friend's wedding in October, and I did purchase 3 outfits because I wasn't sure which one. And I was like, well, my first outfit was originally for the wedding that was supposed to be in April, but then it got moved to October. So I'm like, oh, well, that may not be weather appropriate. So I understand what Jen.
Right.
Don't
hey, I'm not. You know.
But I want to say to everyone that's listening, you know, this is while you may think that it's stressful and that it's hard, this is a really great opportunity for you to change up your wedding to, you know, a possible smaller, more intimate, more about you and your fiance type of situation. But it's still making it where you have the elements and the pieces that encompass you as a couple and the things that are important to you. And what I would suggest that you do when you are planning your wedding, sit down and think about what are the important things to you and what are the important things to your fiance, and how you can incorporate those important things and those important elements into your wedding, even though it's changing. I remember when I got married, and this was back in 2007, chocolate fountains were the thing. And I was like, I don't care what happens at my wedding. I just want a chocolate fountain because I'm fat and I'm greedy and I want to just dip strawberries and fruit and marshmallows in chocolate all night long. That was important to me outside of my vows and outside of, you know, the importance of the day. But, you know, think about those things that are really important to you, those elements that are really important to you that you want to showcase to each other and to the world, whomever, you know, to make sure that that happens. But also, you know, I have a client right now whose wedding was supposed to be in May. All of this is going on. Her hotel is actually shutting down, or shut down. Her hotel is currently shut down. So they are moving everything into to her in-laws or her future in-laws' backyard, because they have a really big house, a really big yard. And she's actually a florist. So she is able to find a nice arch. She's going to rent a nice arch and she's going to decorate that herself. But they're going to live stream it via Facebook Live for their friends and family that can't come, because a lot of their guests are coming from or coming from places that have been heavily hit with COVID-19. And so they're doing some live streaming. And so she and I were just talking yesterday about how myself and my team can be of assistance in that area. Do you want to live stream it not only on Facebook? Are you trying to live stream via Instagram? Are you trying to do something via Twitter? All your social media handles, because, you know, look at you, I see you. But, you know, it's like, you know, you have some generations who are just like, I'm only Facebook only. So she has some family members who only have Facebook handles, and that's how they're going to see it. And then she also has other folks who are her younger generation of families who are Instagrammers. So she's going to, you know, we're talking about how we can live stream it on different social media platforms. So definitely something that you can consider. I'm trying to grab my charger from my computer. But
I like that, Koya. That's a really good alternative.
You have options. So I don't want people to think that, oh my goodness, my wedding has been moved to October when I was originally getting married in June. You know, this is your prime opportunity to do some outside of the box thinking and do some things that you may not have been able to do before, and incorporate some things that, oh, that might have been a good idea, but we can't do it because we have too many people or we don't have enough people, that you may be able to implement. I want everyone to feel like they can be creative and that they can do some things that they've never done before, or do some things that you've never seen before at other weddings that you have attended.
So, I mean, we're still on question 1, and I just keep getting deeper and deeper. But I wanted to take a step back real quick, right? So, most couples are sending out save the date cards, and then the invitation cards. Me and Jen, we used what did we use? We used Greenvelope, which is all electronic. The older folks weren't too happy about it, but you know. At the end of the day, it worked out beautiful for us. So specifically talking about the rescheduling, right? I mean, would you recommend sending out more save the date card or more invitations about the new date? Or would you say, you know what, let me just create a wedding website and everybody go to the website and you'll get the information off the website?
So what I would do, and that is an excellent question, Gene. I'm so glad that you asked that. What I would do is everyone, I think, should have a wedding website, because we are just in this age of technology and this age of everything being online. So what I would do is I would put everything on the wedding website before our older guests, our seasoned guests, just like us, what I like to call them, reach out to them directly via phone and say, hey, we've changed the wedding date. And if they feel like they need something in writing, you can possibly do some sort of less expensive invitation or notification if you feel like you have to send something out. But I always feel like don't waste your money on something like that if you don't have to. If you have that wedding website, you can make those updates and you can send those emails out and make those phone calls. Definitely do that and let people know about the change of the date. My friend who was getting married in April, she sent an email through her wedding website to all of the guests that said, hey, due to everything that's going on, we've moved our wedding to October, and we were notified right away, and that worked out beautifully. But I did talk to her because she actually came over to my house a couple of weeks later, and she was just telling me, that they reached out to all of their friends and family, their parents and their grandparents and great grandparents that were supposed to be attending, to let them know of the new date. And texting, of course, is an option, but definitely make sure that you have that wedding website. There are so many free wedding websites out there that you can use and make those updates online for everyone, because I'm pretty sure a majority of your guests are online.
So, all right, so let's get to question 2, right?
I thought we were done. No, I'm kidding.
No, we're not done. We're just getting started. We're gonna have to have a part 2.
I know. I'm excited.
So, what should couples know about dealing with vendors if they're deciding to postpone or cancel their weddings? Right? What expectations should they prepare for?
Yes. You should go into this thinking or knowing, I should say, that it's a possibility that your vendors aren't available anymore. It's a possibility.
That's a fact.
Yes. Because
can you dive into that a little bit? Why we talked about this, but why wouldn't they be available?
Because just like you are revamping and changing your dates, there are hundreds and thousands of other people who are actually doing the same thing, and it is really I don't want to say first come first serve, but it is early bird gets the worm in a situation like this. And so it's a possibility that your vendors aren't available, so you should definitely have a backup plan, backup vendors for that, because there are so many other people who are changing their dates as well. It's a possibility that your venue isn't available, and it could be that your venue is closed temporarily because of everything that's going on. If they don't have any weddings or if they don't have any events, they probably are seeing that it's a possibility there's no reason to have any staff to staff the actual venue. I had a hotel that I've been reaching out to that we're doing just a board meeting, a really small board meeting, but it's about $25,000 to $30,000 of 3 days, over 3 days. I got an out of office from my contact there that said the hotel was closed. And so I reached out via phone to say, do you have any idea when you're opening back up? And so they were saying that their plan was to open up on June 1st, but you had the GM at the front desk answering phones because they have furloughed a lot of their staff. And, they needed to make sure that somebody was at least answering the phones and being able to provide that customer service. So there is a strong possibility that your venue may be closed temporarily, or their staff is furloughed or laid off until this passes through. So I don't want you all to go into it thinking that, you're going to get an answer right away, or that your date's going to be open. So I want you all to go into the situation with a couple of backup dates if your first backup date isn't available.
Ooh, I like that.
I want you all to be prepared for what all of the possibilities are. It's a strong possibility that you could be calling this vendor for days or weeks and not getting any answers or emailing, and take a great good, long, hard look at those contracts that you signed, specifically those cancellation clauses and those force majeure clauses. And force majeure is when you're dealing with an act of God or epidemics or pandemics. Look at all of those clauses to see what you're liable for and what that venue or vendor is liable for you. Because I keep telling people, don't jump the gun too quickly on canceling or postponing, because it could be a situation where if you cancel too early that you're liable for a lot of fees. I have one client, they're liable for $82,000 in fees if they decide to cancel today for an event that's in August. And I keep saying you should wait that out, because that venue may end up closing, and if they have to cancel on you, you don't have to pay anything, because that wasn't you canceling. So I want to make sure that people are aware of that you reach out and of course talk about postponing and figure out what you can do if you can postpone. But when it comes to canceling, you definitely want to double check and see what your options are per your contracts.
So Corey, listen, this could be a whole topic in itself.
Oh, we could talk about this all night.
about the contracts, right? So I don't want to get too deep into it, but you did say something very interesting. You said if the couple cancels, but before I even ask this question, me and Koya are not lawyers. This is for entertainment purposes only. Consult with your attorney. So yes. Back to our regular scheduled programming. You just said if the venue cancels on you, or if a vendor cancels on you, then they are responsible. But if the couple cancels,
well, when I say that, I mean, yeah, like when I say that, I mean, like there usually aren't any fees involved if the vendor or venue cancels. You want to check your deposits though, of course, because if you paid a non-refundable deposit, then it's a strong possibility you're not going to get that back. But as far as like hotels,
you can just write the deposit off. I'm just going to say that right here.
Yeah, I mean, I have a client who is canceling or revamping, and I did offer to give the deposit back just because on good faith, and because I understand the situation, and I know that you're probably trying to recoup a lot, but she would not take it back. So I was like, I appreciate that, but just know that offer is there just in case. You never know. But yeah, check your contracts, because it is, if they cancel on you, and like my contract says something along the lines of, of course it's a non-refundable deposit, but I have to let you know within a certain time period if I'm not available to do the wedding or if something comes up. But I always have that second piece to it. My second in command, my other staff, it's more so if I'm not available.
Got backup.
Yeah, exactly. So, and for those of you who are listening, at the end of this, I'll make sure to give you all my contact information. I am happy to review some contracts for you, or talk you through this situation, because I definitely understand that it is frustrating and stressful. So, I am a resource to those of you who are listening who may need some assistance in that piece of things.
And you know what? That goes into my fourth question, right? What you just said, and we're going to get there. But I did want to piggyback off what you said, where it may be difficult to get a hold of some of your vendors, but also a lot of wedding vendors, we book up months in advance.
Sometimes,
right? So
like up to a year or two in advance. Yeah.
Yeah. So, an experience that I had recently is, I had a couple postpone their wedding, and unfortunately the date that they postponed to, I was already booked. So I'm not available to do their wedding, but I do have somebody in my place that's going to be performing at their wedding. So I think that's an important expectation. Like, just because your photographer isn't available on that date, or your DJ or your florist or whatever, and you may really want this person, like obviously, you did your research, you spent the time, and this is the vendor that you wanted, but unfortunately they may not be available. And I just think, like, just based off the situation that it is, I'm pretty sure, and I'm just going to say this about our industry, right? Like, Koya is not going to send you someone that she doesn't feel is going to live up to the expectation that she has. I'm not going to send you an entertainer that's not going to live up to the expectations that I have. Same thing with a videographer or a photographer or a caterer. Now, I can't speak for everybody. I'm just saying, as an industry, us vendors take what we do really serious. And, I'm not going to send a DJ out to a wedding just to go do a wedding for him to ruin that wedding and then have my name tarnished in the industry and in the community. It's not worth it for me to do that, right? So with that being said, just understand that that vendor, right? That vendor may not be available, but more than likely, I would say that they will have a backup plan for you.
Right. And that's particularly the reason why I have a team of 4 other people, because, each one of my staff members, they do have a focus, but as someone said when we had our 10-year anniversary party last year, those are 4 little yous walking around. Like, we can tell that you have trained them up, and we can tell that they are going to be as detailed as you are. And, or if me or my entire team were not available because of a family thing or something like that, I have so many people that I work with that I trust, that I would be able to I don't want to use the words pass off, but that I would be able to suggest to you. And I would still work with that person also, probably leading all the way up into your wedding. It's just that I'm not available on the day, so that they understand and realize what your expectations are, what my expectations are for my particular client, and what exactly, going above and beyond for that person, especially in a time like this, where there is going to be a lot of hand holding and it's going to be a lot of sensitive issues going on. And you want to make sure that you are being empathetic and putting yourself in the same shoes as other people, because a lot of times these are circumstances beyond everyone's control, and you don't want it to be where you're like, well, I'm not available, so you're on your own. No, I would do everything in my power to ensure that your wedding day would go as much as planned as possible.
I wanted to kind of like to jump back into what you said earlier about that hashtag. Wait, I think you said it was
hashtag postpone, don't cancel.
Yeah, hashtag postpone, don't cancel. I like that. And so I wanted to comment on that. I just feel, now this is just my personal feeling about it, right? Like, you've already spent so much time, effort, and energy
and money
to just, and I know it's easy to just throw your hands up and be like, because planning a wedding in itself is already stressful. Now you're dealing with this pandemic and you're dealing with the unknown, and but I just want couples to really just focus in on why you're having this wedding, and don't let COVID ruin your wedding. Don't let this virus ruin your wedding. Like, it's almost like in life, right? Like, you have a game plan, and you get thrown a curveball and you have a decision to make, right? Are you gonna continue to fight and reach that goal that you have, or you just gonna be like, whatever, I'm done? And so I just wanted to put it out there, like, and that's why, and this goes into to the next question, that's why having a strong team is important. Right. That's going to be able to help you and to guide you. And I tell couples this all the time, from your venue to all your other vendors, like, this is your team, right? This is these are your all-star players that you put together to make the vision that you have come true. And so lean on your venues, right? Lean on especially the planners. And so going into my next question is really, especially now, I've always been an advocate for my planners. Okay.
Yes, you have.
Always. And whenever I do a wedding, And one of the first questions I ask is, are you investing in a planner? And if they say, oh yeah, the venue, I'm just like, okay, all right. And it's nothing against the venues, you know what I'm saying?
No, no, not at all.
The venues are more focused on, anyway, let me not say that. But bottom line is, I've always been an advocate for planners. Every time I do a wedding and there's a planner there, my stress level, okay, like comes completely down. And so, you know, I know that before this happened, you know, some couples are kind of up in the air. Do I need a planner? Do I not need a planner? What's the point of having a planner? I think the best investment you can make, before you even get into picking your venue or your vendors or guest list, I think the first thing a couple should do is invest in a planner, right? It's going to save you money. It's going to say, I'm just
say that I always say that should be the second thing. I always say the first thing that the couple should do is figure out what their budget is, and then hire.
Okay. You see, but that's coming from a planner though. Like,
or you can, you know, or vice versa. Yeah, or hire a planner so she can help you with your budget.
So she can tell you what's your budget, right?
Yeah.
And you know what? This is, I mean, we could talk about this for days, but so,
oh yeah,
you know, what do you, like, the industry is going to change. It is even more important now to have a planner than before. So what are your 3 reasons? And I know you're going to be a little bit biased. I mean, you've been planning for 16 years, right? Yeah. But what are the 3 reasons why you think a couple should absolutely positively invest in a planner?
So I'm gonna preface this, guys, by saying I don't always follow the rules, so I may have 3 to 5 reasons for you.
That's fine.
I would say my number one reason before all of this was happening, and probably will always be my number one reason, is hiring a planner. This person can help you with that budget that you need to create, because being someone who's been in the industry, they're going to know the average cost of things. They're going to know where you should be putting forth a lot of your money, a lot of your dollars, because your wedding is an investment. The second reason, you want someone who knows, understands, and can read contracts and tell you when you are not signing a good contract, or where, you know, the contract is not mutually beneficial. That is definitely a second reason for that. My third reason is we can save you so much time. You know, most of you are working full time. Most of us, our job is to plan full time. So, you know, in the time that it's going to take you to step away from work to do this research and to take time off work to go visit with your vendors and venues, like, that's stuff that we can do for you in your place, knowing what you want and knowing what your vision is. And that brings me into my next point. We can take your vision and actually make it come to life and make it be exactly, it's something that you've been imagining in your head for however long. But as a planner, I can take whatever that is in your head and in your brain and in your fiance's head and brain and bring that to life and bring that to fruition for you. And those are my main reasons that I feel like people should hire a planner. And another thing is, we have these relationships with so many vendors, so many people. Like,
I get discounts.
Yeah, I can think of so many instances, and I'll give you a couple of scenarios. I had a client, this was years ago. A week before her wedding, her DJ called her and was like, all my equipment got stolen when I went out of town to DJ another party. I don't have enough time to go get any equipment. I don't have any backup equipment. And she called me and was like, I don't know what to do. So I reached out to one of my good DJ friends who actually used to announce for the Caps and all of that, and said, hey, I have a bride and she is on a strict budget because this person that she was working with was a friend of a friend that was giving her a discount. Would you be willing to do this wedding for this amount? And he said yes. I had another couple who the DJ company that she was working with went out of business a month before the wedding, and filed bankruptcy and everything. So she had no DJ. The DJ that was contracted with that company actually happened to reach out to me and say, hey, I'm now out of a job and I still want to DJ this wedding. So I went on and I looked at, I have so many contracts, and I went on and I created an actual DJ contract for them with the proper language and the proper modifications and everything, so that they could have this DJ and everything be okay. A wedding that we did last year, where I will always say it will go down in history, is probably one of my most favorite weddings that I have done. Shout out to Kristen and John. I love you guys. Their wedding, they utilized every single vendor that I suggested, and that wedding went off without a hitch. And it's because these are vendors and venues that I've worked with before, and I know my couples. I know what their expectations are. I know what the style is. I know what makes them feel comfortable, and I know what makes them tick. So I can say, of this list of 15 florists that I work with, the people that are going to be, you're a out-of-the-box thinker and creative, and you like wild and crazy, this is the florist that you need to work with, because they're going to make that vision come to life. Or you guys are very outdoorsy and you go hiking every weekend, this is the venue that you're going to want to go to, because that's going to allow you to bring your everyday life into your scenery for your wedding. And so we have so many connects that people are willing to do favors for us, or willing to do something for us at the drop of a hat, because they've worked with us before, and they know that not only are we going to bring them you as a client, we're going to bring them more clients, because we work very well together. So those are my reasons why you should hire a wedding planner. And I always tell people when I do my consultations, if you don't hire me, that's okay, because I may not be for everybody, but hire someone, because you don't want to worry about that the little nuances and the craziness that goes on with a wedding day. Like I always tell my couples, your job is to look good and eat a great meal on your wedding day, and have a great time. And I mean, and I'll use John and Kristen as an example, because I love them so much. We, at the end of the wedding night, we went and we dropped off their cake topper and their leftover desserts from the wedding at the hotel. Dropped it off at the front desk. I dropped it off personally myself. I wrote on the top of the box their name, their room number, the date, and somehow this front desk person, I won't name the hotel or anything, I don't know if they took it with them or if they gave it away to someone else, but when John and Kristen went down to retrieve these treats the very next morning, the front desk had no idea where they were, what they were going to do, what happened with those. And so I reached out to the bakery and I said, this is what happened. They went to go retrieve their stuff. The very next day I went to the baker and I picked up more treats, a new cake topper for them, and brought it to their house, because that's just how I feel about my clients, that that wasn't something of your fault, and I took ownership of that, because I'm the person that dropped it off. And if one of my staff would have done it, they would have done the exact same thing. And so you want someone that actually has your back and is in your corner. And a lot of times I'm with my clients for up to a year in advance, so I really have gotten to know them and what makes them tick, and what the nuances are and what they can't stand. Or like if we're going to meet a vendor, like I know that she's allergic to strawberries, don't bring anything strawberry out. Or I know that she hates the color blue, please don't bring anything blue out, because she's going to be turned off by that. So
you're like the buffer for the couple, for the bride.
Oh, I always say like the psychologist. We definitely serve as a sounding board for our couples and a buffer, mainly between bride and groom and their families, because a lot of times, and it depends, on who it is, and a lot of times it depends on the ethnicity too. I'll say that, you have Aunt Flo over here and Uncle Bob who want to help and do all kinds of things, and I always like to tell them, let them know that you have a planner, and if there's anything that they need or any questions that they have, let's funnel those through me, because I probably already know the answer.
And I'll say this, Koya, before we end the show. I remember we did a wedding together in Alexandria. I'll never forget it. We did a wedding together in Alexandria, and the baker dropped off the wrong cake.
I will never forget that. Like, I'll never forget that.
They dropped off the wrong cake, right? And I looked at you. I'm like, Koya, what's good? You're like, they dropped off the wrong cake, Gene. And you got the right cake in there. You made some calls. You did, you worked your magic. And this is the crazy thing, right? I don't even think the bride even knew. I don't even think she knew there was a wrong cake there. Like, you know what I'm saying? And does she really want to be concerned about that?
She knew it was the wrong cake because she walked in and was like, those are not.
Oh, okay. So she did know.
She did know, but it was so swift in how like the change happened.
Yeah.
I will never forget that night because my phone died and I couldn't find my charger. And I remember I got home that night and I called my mom, who was, whatever time. What time did we get home that night? 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, it was a late wedding.
And I called my mom because remember that wedding got extended because we ordered pizza and whatever at the end of the night.
Right.
I called my mom, who's on the West Coast, and it was midnight or 11 p.m. or midnight her time, and I burst into tears. And I'm telling y'all this because, we take ownership of all this stuff. And I am crying, boo-hoo crying, and my mom is like, I can't understand a word that you're saying. I don't know what is going on. What is wrong? Did somebody die? And I'm like, no.
They dropped off the wrong cake.
But there's so many things that night. I just was like, oh my God. And so I remember my mom was like, just sleep on it and, reach out to them the next day. And I remember sending this long apologetic email because again, while it was not you or my fault, it was, as a planner, as an event planner, wedding planner, any type of planner, we own that. And we have a sense of grief when certain things happen because we feel like, what if this was our own event or our own wedding or whatever? And so I remember talking to them the next day and the groom was so chill and so Koya, okay, it's all good. We had such a good time last night. Gene kept the party rocking and you kept everything going. We didn't even know half of the stuff that you apologizing for.
Yeah, but that just shows your attention to detail and how engaged and you're involved in the wedding. And I love what you said about. I think it's really the number one of. There's so many reasons, but it's really the relationships that the planners have with people in the wedding industry, right? Like that.
Yeah.
That's just really high on the list. Because listen, if you contact me and you're like, "Hey, Gene, I got a bride getting married," I'm gonna give you the family deal. You know what I'm saying? It's the truth, right? It's
right.
If a planner's coming to me, right, and they're referring business to me, listen, you're gonna get a discount because of that. And I think that goes across the board. You know what I mean?
And there's been so many times, I'm sure for you, you've had guests. Not just a guest, but guests at a wedding who's like, my sister's getting married and this DJ was so good. Let me reach out. And I had a bride who's like, my sister's getting married next year. I already recommended you to be her planner. And I was like, well, we're going to just keep it in the family,
Yeah.
I already know the entire family. I know your mom. I know your dad. I know your grandparents. You guys are probably going to have the same people in the wedding party. That actually was John and Kristen's wedding. I did John and Kristen's wedding first. And John's sister is married to someone else, and his sister was getting married, and I ended up doing her wedding in Philadelphia 6 months later. So, and I was just like, I know everybody here already, so it felt like it was some camaraderie, and it just felt very familiar. So that is definitely a good thing about.
And I'll say this as well. When you're investing in a planner, it doesn't matter if it's if you're hiring a planner for your entire wedding or for 6 months before or even a day a coordinator, right? I think what you're really paying for, and this is just my opinion, you're paying for that for the relationships that they have. that they've built over years. You know what I'm saying? Like, a bride's not gonna call me and say, "Hey, Gene, I want to book you for my wedding," and I'm not just gonna give her a discount off rip. Like, no, but
Right.
because I have that relationship with you, right? So I'm like, oh yeah, Koya's family, like. Whatever you want.
I tell people
Whatever
all the
you
time,
want, Jimmy. Whatever you want, Koya. Like, I got you. Like,
I tell
doesn't
people
matter.
all the time, you are paying for peace of mind.
Yeah.
Ooh, and that is priceless. You're paying for peace of mind. You are paying, and I tell them all the time, every time my consultation, I end my consultations with this. Your job is to focus on your marriage. My job is to focus on your wedding. Let me do that.
Can you say that one more time? Can you say it one more time?
I'll say it one more time for you. Your job as the bride and the groom is to focus on your marriage. Spend more time planning for your marriage, and let me spend the time planning for your wedding. Your wedding is one day. It's one day, and it's going to go by so fast, you probably won't even remember if you even ate that day. I, as your planner, will make sure that you eat that day, because I can't have you falling out on the dance floor. But, your job really is to maintain that relationship and focus on your marriage, because that is a lifetime. Let me focus on that one day for you, because I want you to remember everything that occurs that day.
So Koya, before we get out of here, how can people get in touch with you? How can they reach you?
Yeah, I will give you my social media handles, website, whatever. So you can reach me via my website. Go to www.aayouevents.com. You can email me at Necoya, which is Necoya @aayouevents.com. You can find us on Instagram or Facebook via AAYOU Events. My personal, I like to give my personal Instagram also. You can find me on Instagram. My handle there is @QueenBossPlanner. That's my Instagram handle. So I would welcome any questions, comments, concerns. Again, if you just want to shoot the breeze, or if you want to vent, you have some craziness going on right now due to COVID-19, I'm here. We really don't have a lot going on as far as our wedding clients right now. We're doing a lot with moving over our corporate clients. So all of my wedding folks, if you have any questions out there, I would welcome any questions from you all.
One last thing. Let's talk about this morning with mimosas.
Morning. Oh, let me tell you guys about that. Thank you, Gene, for the look. Okay, so mornings are for mimosas. You can actually find us on Instagram that way also. Mornings are the number 4 mimosas. So mornings are for mimosas. It's twofold. We originally started off. It started off as a workshop for brides and grooms, where myself and other vendors tell you just the different process, or the processes for getting started with planning your wedding, because a lot of our clients, this is your first wedding. This is our 1,000th. Hopefully. Right. And so, hopefully. And so, a lot of brides and grooms come to us with a lot of questions, just, not knowing how to start off the planning process. And so we used to do those in person, but with everything going on, we're going to be moving a lot of our Mornings Are for Mimosas workshops for brides and grooms to virtual/online, and we're looking to schedule something probably early summer for brides and grooms. But we also have a second piece to that for vendors. So whether anyone that touches a wedding, hair and makeup artist, photographer, videographer, DJ, florist, venue, wedding planner, we have our Mornings Are for Mimosas Planners and Vendors edition, and we're actually going on tour this year starting in August. Hopefully, everything goes as planned, but we'll start in August in Orlando, Florida. We'll be at the Sugar Factory in Orlando, Florida, who's actually one of our sponsors. And then in September, we'll be in Charleston, South Carolina at the Marriott. October, we'll be at Tyson's Corner, the Hyatt Regency Tyson's Corner. And then November will be at the Sugar Factory in Las Vegas in conjunction with Wedding Wire. We're gonna open up. We'll start right before Wedding Wire opens. We'll be doing a networking event there. But it really is an opportunity to network with other vendors and like I said, it's the planners and vendors edition, so it's a lot about networking, but we'll also be having a panel on how to maneuver as a business owner, entrepreneur through this COVID-19, because by then we will be really in it, and either on the upswing of things, or dealing with how we're dealing with it now. So that's what that event is about. We're really excited about it. We started that event in 2018, and it's just been really amazing. And we started the Planners and Vendors Edition in 2019. So we're really looking forward to connecting with these different vendors in these different cities, and just talking to them about how they're dealing with this and how they're handling it, and how we can be a resource to them as well.
So Koya, I'm so proud of you. I love that morning. It's morning with mimosas.
Mornings are for mimosas.
All mornings are. That's just so. So.
It's so catchy.
So good. Listen, you bring something different to the table, right? You're not just like a wedding planner. Like, you have an extensive background in planning events, right? Not just weddings. So you're really on a bigger scale. I mean, you're doing legit. I mean, you're planning conferences and trade shows, and you're traveling. I mean, you're freaking awesome.
Thank you. I mean, I always tell everyone how I ended up on the wedding side is like I started off on conferences and trade shows and logistics, and I just thought that it was a good segue, because I'm all about happiness, and if any of you that come in contact with me, 99% of the time I'm in a great mood and happy. I have that 1%, or that 0.1%. I have my bad days just like everybody else, but I wanted to do the happy side of events, and so that's how I got into the wedding planning, the segue. And for me, logistics are just that, logistics. I am a blank slate person, so I love to walk into a room and see four walls and the floor, and figure out what exactly can I fit into that space to make your dreams come to reality and make your vision come to life. So I'm excited that Gene and I have known each other for some years now, and I'm excited that he reached out to me to do this with you all. And
the first person I reached out to.
Yes, and so I do appreciate that, and I'm looking forward to part 2. Like, once this COVID-19, gets on the upswing, I've been reading so many things about it on when it's going to peak and in what areas it's going to peak. So I look forward to hearing from you, brides and grooms, on what changes you guys have made due to this, and what options you guys you have out there for this. And again, ping me, reach out to me, call me, text me. I'll give you my cell number, 571-291-3187, and at least say your name when you text me, so I know who you are.
So Corey, before we go, like, I really think our next episode together is I just think like things are going to be evolving, and I just really think that like all industries is going to change, right? I just think, and I just want to be ahead of that curve. You know what I'm saying? I want to be able, like, I tell my couples all the time, like don't be reactive, be proactive. Be
proactive. Oh, that is one of my sayings. I just said it on a conference call earlier today. I think that too many times people are being reactive, and I think that having that being proactive it's going to serve you so much better in the long run, and knowing what your options are. Because being reactive, you sometimes get caught into doing something that you may not want to do or may not be happy about doing. So if you have that proactive nature and you have your options in front of you, it will just make things so much easier for you.
I agree. All right, Koya, it's been a pleasure.
Yes, honey.
Thank you so much.